good. Oh. Say. I should have. That's Ronald's finest right there.
Hey, Ronnie.
Ronald?
And together, we're the Rons.
Remember that time when we were kids and we would play baseball until 11:30 and later at night, and your mom would get on the intercom to tell you it's time to go in?
Yes, I do remember that. In fact, it happened more frequently than that, not just at 11:30 at night. Yeah, so you know, we had this intercom system in our house growing up, and it was because my uncle was an electrician. No one had intercom systems back when we were growing up. It just happened that my electrician uncle and family were visiting, so when they were fixing up the house, they thought, hey, I'll put one of these things in. Put it on the outside of the house, and it was like this very loud, robotic voice, shrieking voice, not my mom's voice. It was the system amplifying her voice across the neighborhood. And so I was notorious for the kid. It was like, hey, Ronald, across the neighborhood. And you could hear it like to the whole other neighborhood. It was incredibly embarrassing, but it was very efficient for my family to get me home. And believe me, I wanted to get home quick because I did not want to hear that thing twice.
The intercom was something we all talked about. So we could be playing baseball, we could be out playing tennis golf, we could do anything outside. No matter what happened, it would always come to this intercom of, Ronald, dinner time! And we used to joke about him all the time.
Yeah. There was always something that we could kid about. But how about we talk about summertime in Alaska and what we did in the neighborhood?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, you know, growing up in Alaska was really awesome. The summer times literally were, 22-hour days.
That's right.
And if you were in the middle of, July when it was really, really long days, we could literally be outside till 2 in the morning and it would still be light.
You know, having all that daylight meant there was just a lot more time to be outside. And so, but in all that time, you got to figure out different things to play. So we would create games, and sometimes you would have a couple people, sometimes you had a lot of people, so you wouldn't have enough to play like, a full football game or a full baseball game. So we just kind of figured things out.
Some parents were super cool to let their kids play until, whenever.
Yeah.
And others not so much. I mean, we remember we used to play pitcher, batter, outfielder. It was a great game. It was when you had 3 people, somebody would pitch, somebody would bat, somebody would play outfield.
It did feel like endless days, and you didn't really need to sleep because you almost felt like you do all your sleeping in the wintertime when it was dark.
We're like bears. We hibernate in the winter and we save it up for the summer.
That's right. And to make it safe in our neighborhood to not break anything, which I'm still amazed to this day that we didn't break anything major. Nothing got broken. We used tennis balls to play baseball in the neighborhood, so nothing got broken.
But I mean, things did get marked up because when tennis balls get wet, which they always did because Alaska's a very wet place, we'd hit it off their house, off their windows, off their roofs, off sometimes even, actually, now that I think about it, we even used planters as bases. Another fun game we used to play as a kid. Do you remember the mini trampoline? All right, for those of you that are young, mini trampolines were not trampolines that you bounce on just because you're bored.
Yeah.
They were actually an exercise.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we used to set up this trampoline. I had a basketball hoop at our house, and I refused to believe it was 10 feet. It felt much higher. And granted, we were littler then, but we used to try to dunk in it. So imagine you have a basketball hoop flush with a garage, and you're running full sprint, jumping off a trampoline to try to dunk it with nothing to stop you until you hit the garage. It's funny, there was always somebody who would lose their temper. And if you were just a random neighbor looking out your window, watching the mayhem I mean, we had these 2 friends that are brothers, and there was never, I can't even remember a time playing
Art and Alec.
I can't remember a time that one of them wouldn't want to try to fight the other, and I feel like I was constantly breaking fights up.
Art was more of and is still to this day more of a peacemaker. Alec, on the other hand, he was a firecracker, man. He would chase you around the neighborhood with a bat. None of the neighbors came out. Like, they heard us screaming and they see a kid running with a baseball bat. Right. Nobody tried to stop him. We actually had to tackle him and take the bat away from the kid. Gosh, man. I mean, we literally played every sport. I mean, we did horseshoes, badminton, basketball.
Badminton was huge.
I know. Yeah, but
Yes.
remember basketball? Like, how many games of horse did we play?
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, thousands of games
and
of horse.
we'd be like, okay, let's do horse and trailer, you know, because somebody would be mad that they lost, so we'd add letters to it.
Oh yeah. Back to, you could only really use a tennis ball in our neighborhood. The houses are relatively close together. You didn't want to break anything.
Right.
And so I remember how your dad let us use his golf clubs and hit the tennis ball around the neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
But this was a big thing. I mean, we attracted a lot of people from all different kinds of neighborhoods and called it tennis golf.
Oh,
you
tennis
know?
golf.
Yeah, not the most creative name, but tennis ball, golf, tennis golf.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe we should bring that back, man. Try it
I
out.
love it. Ronald, you remember tennis golf?
I do remember vividly. I still can't believe your father let us use his clubs and hit those around the neighborhood.
So true. So tennis golf is like golf. You know, you start with a tennis ball and a golf club, and basically you play around the neighborhood and you pick targets. So, for example, we're gonna start here. Oh boy, oh boy, honey.
Oh, clearly I got closer to the road. It's tied up.
All right,
There we
so
go.
it's a tie. All right,
It's a tie.
so next hole, so how you do it is you get to the hole, whoever wins picks the next hole. Since it was a tie, we have to be unanimous about it. Look, it's coming back. This is the tragedy. Now, we grew up on a hill. Tiffany Terrace was on a hill.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'd hit it, and this is exactly what would happen, except it was a steep hill.
Where'd it go? Oh, you hit it in there.
Is it in there? I think we got our fill of tennis golf for the evening here. It's not often that I would lose to Ronald in this game, but today it appears I lost. Now I was 1 inch away from victory, and I got robbed.
Well, that was fun.
That was a good time. I think that all of our audience knows now just how athletic you are.
Well, I'm not quite sure either of us were doing that well at the golf. To be honest, I was floored that I won, but it kind of seemed like you just gave up when your ball got hit inside that culvert.
I wasn't going to crawl into the culvert to get it.
I was willing to give you another tennis ball to like play it out, but you were done, and I was okay with that. I'm willing to take the win. I don't remember winning tennis golf too many times as a kid, so I'll take it now. And you know, you're only as good as your last game. So unless you want to play again, I'm the champion.
Okay, I've held the championship for what, 30 plus years?
Yeah.
And I've just handed it over.
Handed it over to me. That was very gracious of you.
I like it.
I appreciate that.
I like it. Well, you know, it's funny when I think of like the fun things that we do. It reminds me of the times that we used to drive places.
Yeah, when we finally got our driver's license, finally got a car, and got to cruise around town and try to be cool and all that stuff.
What were those 2 roads that you do the drag on? It was
Benson and Northern Lights.
Benson and Northern Lights.
That was
right.
the strip in Anchorage, where people would like rev their engines and like accelerate and try to burn out their tires.
That was like, you know, that you were, in fact, when you had those horns installed on your F-150, that was like Fast and Furious before Fast and Furious.
Okay. First of all, you're conflating these stories. Back then in Anchorage, I had an old Jeep, so I had no horns on that car. And in fact, I didn't have horns on that F-150 truck.
Was that college?
But that is a good story. And particularly about like, well, why would someone put horns on their car? I know I didn't do that, but we should talk about that.
I think we should totally talk about it. Should you Fast and Furious your car? Click here if you want to watch us talk about that.
Yeah.
Till then, my friend, I'm out of here.
See you later, Ronnie.
See you, Ronald.
Bye-bye.